It's early spring. Time to put about 75 hours worth of work into our Westfalia so everybody can say, those things just run forever, don't they? So what's in store for this season? Well, we're going to do this side panel again. What we're going to do is we're going to actually replace some sheet metal. As you can see, it's not rusty here because this has more in common with a bay liner than a Volkswagen, because this is all fiberglass. But you can see down here where we need to really get back in there and do it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to replace some metal and do the rubber around the windows. So in order to do that, we have to take out the camping gear. We're going to have to take out all of it. So let's get started. Obviously the first thing we want to do is clean out all the cabinets. Probably take you longer than you think. I found my collection of rune stones from 1997. Behind the driver's seat, there's these fuses you probably never even knew about. Take those out. Should go turn off the propane underneath the van, and then burn off any gas you have in the lines if you want. My tank's been off for a long time. I'm going to remove my truck fridge. You're going to need to look at your instructions on removing your regular Westfalia fridge if you still have it. You need to disconnect the exhaust in the back too first, and plug on the inside and gas on the inside, etc. Truck fridge is a lot easier to get out. Before I take out the rear seat, I'm going to remove the Propex, which is taking up way too much camping space anyway back here, so I'm going to move this hopefully during this R&R of the camping gear. Got to clean up 1,000 wires back here where I keep one of my auxiliary batteries and all my solar controller stuff, and wires leading up to the Propex thermostat. I'm going to remove this gas hose. I'm just going to cut this because I'm just going to put a new one in. Alright, 2 hours after pulling that Propex out and all that wiring and gas lines, we're going to start with the rear bench seat. So we're going to take out this strap here, and underneath that armrest there's a screw. Take that out. Those screws in the back holding the back of the bench seat on. First one, the head snapped off. The second one I had to drill out. Oh well. Next, take out these screws. Next, remove these bolts on the back of the bottom of the bed. There's one on the other side too. We're working in the garage early March because it's cold this March, and it's snowing today, and the Full Moon Bus Club is out at the Tohican. Good luck with that. If you have a rear seat belt, shoulder strap additional, take that out. Besides the directions to the final resting place of Jimmy Hoffa, there was a whole bunch of crap down here underneath this seat. 30-year-old stuff. Still got a long way to go, but I just want to get all the bulky stuff out before I start pulling the other cabinets out. I could just leave this seat here on the garage floor. Nobody will notice it. Overall, so far, this is not fun. Okay, we need to get the screws around this drain on the bottom from the sink. Let's get these plates back here. Alright, we got all our plates off. Okay, remove the outlet. I have 2 outlets. The previous owner put 2 outlets in here, so I'm going to take both those out. These are the screws above the water tank and the cabinet. I'm going to take those out. Next thing you want to do is remove these ancient, stiff, and very brittle connections to your water tank. The urge to use a Sawzall gets very strong at this point. Okay, there are 2 nuts underneath the cabinet. Inside here, let's get those off. Now we got some bolts here in the sink cabinet. Let's take those out. I'm just taking a preliminary look at this Propex, which is going to go in here on the way back out. 2 things that I forgot to do. Remove the wires going in between the 2 cabinets up to my solar controller, and to drain the water tank, and to pull the plate off the bottom for the water tank for this side too. So remember to do that. Then lift the cabinet out, straight up a little bit, and then out. Now for the front cabinet, the Bentley says to take out this table leg mount here. Oh, maybe that's just if I wanted to slide it forward or something. So I'm going to not take that off right now and see what happens. Well, the source of my water leak boils down to this hole right here in my water tank, which obviously something went in there and is no longer there. So I was getting a lot of water dumping down, causing a lot of rust and puddles and stuff like that. Underneath the sink, pull your shelves out. I got a mess down here. I got a big cracked panel back there. I'm gonna have to fix that. Should be plenty of mouse poop down here for you. The wife stepped out for a little bit, so what better time than to store all the camping gear inside the family room. Okay, make sure you disconnect the gas lines. Now here's something you're going to want to decide what you want to do. There's usually these gas lines come up through the cabinets. So you got to pull these gas lines straight down through the cabinets. You probably have to jack up the vehicle to do that to keep the lines straight. Or you can take a Dremel and just cut out to the back of the cabinet, which is what I originally did the first time I took the cabinets out. But then I ended up jacking the van up and pulling the lines out. So you decide. Now I'm going to vacuum in here, so make sure when you're vacuuming around mouse poop, wear a face mask, respirator, etc., gloves. Go ahead and remove that bolt there. And the nut right there. Now remember, those of you with the regular Dometic fridge, you got some other things to do, like the outlet over there. That's usually back there, and the electrical wiring and the gas for that. So you're going to need to follow the Bentley to get that refrigerator out, plus the flue plate on the side of the van. Mine's just on there as a decoy. Okay, remove the connector for your gauge lights, and also get the connectors to the faucet. I'm going to disconnect the hose going to the faucet. I think it's easier to reach while the cabinet's out. I ended up making two videos at once here. So I have a separate video because I did a whole separate video on doing that rear window without taking out the inside cabinet with the air conditioner and everything. So look for that video separately. And so far I've cut out the bottom panel, get all the pieces out so I can put the new panel on. I just have to buff out this scratch here, and the van will be all ready for camping soon. Alright, I cut out all the old rusted metal. I put in the new rocker panel there. I'm going to weld some parts of the inside. What I did put it in with was this new 3M bonding adhesive. Actually pretty expensive. I used almost the whole tube, I think. In order to use the 3M bonding adhesive, you need a $70 to $100 adhesive gun, or you need 2 wooden dowels, block of wood, and a $5 regular gun. That's how I got it out. I'm not spending $100 just to squeeze some glue out of a tube. There's a remnant of the old panel. See, most of it was part bay liner. Alright, we got the panel in, the bodywork's done, and it's time to paint. I won't tell you how long it's been since the last video. Got the inside all cleaned up. Got the insulation in. You're going to find about 500 different ways to put insulation in there. So I think the most important thing is that the insulation does not touch at the bottom. There's a little channel down there. If it touches, water will gather in there. If any water seeps in, then it will cause more rust. So make it stop right before it gets to that little tray down there. I also coated the entire backside back there with fiberglass resin using a paintbrush. Painting's the easy part. It's the prep that takes forever. Alright, the back panels are in. Time to start putting the cabinets back. Yes, I know that part of that back panel is from a 1985, but the original panel just completely disintegrated. I'm using all new plumbing hoses. Everything kit here, plus some drain for the sink. If you go and get one of them charts that shows you all the bad things that can happen to a paint job, like fish eyes and orange peel and bugs and runs, well, you could use that chart, or you could use the side of my van if I just got done painting it. Got a lot of buffing to do. I'm having a serious chicken and egg problem with getting this Propex set up inside there, because, you know, where to mount the hole's going down, and I need to move it forward first. I need to move it forward first. I'm going to go down. We'll see. I can't believe somebody did this without taking the cabinets out. Wow. I'm crudely trying to get this thing fitted. Cut a little space for it in the back. I know I'm going to need a 90-degree angle connector to the back of the Propex, but it's getting there. I have to keep pulling the cabinet in and out, though. I have finally settled upon this fantastic Canadian blonde with honey, maple syrup, and Cascade hops. So let me know if you need that recipe too. I cut a hole in the panel back there and moved the insulation. It gives me a little more room in the back of the Propex to put the 90-degree adapter. And that way I have to cut those ports on the front of the Propex, but some people have done, in order to fit it in there. It's time to put everything back in. Back cabinet was rather uncooperative getting that back in there, but that's how it goes. And I'm going to be running fresh new Go Westy hoses and all the hoses for the sink. But there's one thing that you replaced during this entire project. Make sure it is these foam gaskets that go behind these intake ports. This is where water gets in. Now, there is an old PA Dutch saying, grow too soon old and too late smart. In my case, I'm going to actually test this water tank all the way before I do the final install of the back cabinet. Make sure it doesn't leak. Sanded and primed the cabinet. Wait till that dries so I can paint it. Yes, I bit up more than I can chew this spring. This is the brand new sink drain. Goes underneath the bottom of the van. While the paint dried on the stove, I put it in the rear seat. That was pretty straightforward. Cabinet's been painted, cleaned up, put a new drain in. The old drain was disgusting. Got a new line. It's ready to go back in. So I accidentally bent this propane hose. So of course now I had to go buy about 100 feet of it. This tool was invented for the sole purpose of pissing me off. Alright, testing for propane leaks. Yeah, look at that. Alright, leak has been fixed. Stove works. All connections have been tested. One of the reasons for doing this is to get back all this storage down here underneath the back seat. So we used to have the battery over there. This is where the Propex used to be. I got plenty more storage space. When you're putting everything back together, you'll get a strange feeling that you're forgetting something. All the plumbing's done. All the electronics have been hooked up again. I got 2 new batteries up into the front seat. And Propex is working. I gotta clean up some wires. But I'm ready to put the cabinet doors back in. But first I'm going to put the fridge back. The fridge is back in. And now I'm going to replace this floor. Getting ready to put down some laminate. Alright, put in a cherry wooden floor. Laminate. Well, that's it. Well, it's all filming anyway. Gotta do a few more things like put in the AC down there, receptacle, and lots of little miscellaneous wiring things, and ports for the Propex, etc. But the bulk of it's done. And like I say, get yourself a good job so you can pay somebody else to do this work for you. And if you're considering doing this work, you might want to just consider letting the van rusting away and buying a new one. Alright, thanks again. Oh, and one last thing, I got this cool little cabinet up there. It was the last one available. Little spice rack.